Welcome back, savages. And here in Conan Exiles, proving to myself that, yes, it is just Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2 that's being a jackass. I did some internet searching, found out that there's absolutely... This has been something that goes on with the game every few years, apparently. There's an update or a seasonal thing. They go AFK in Japan or something like that for this time of year. But basically, the servers all tank out or they get overcrowded. That's one of two options that I've come across. Either the servers have tanked out or they become overcrowded for some reason during this time. Now, I do know that there are some new mobile suits that have been dropping that people have been pretty frothy about, so that might be a problem. I hadn't been on for the last couple of days because I found better things to do with my time, and so I wasn't aware of any kind of updates or anything like that. Nothing shows up in the log that anything had to get updated or anything. So I decided just fuck it, delete it. I deleted the mobile suit game. I deleted the Code Fairy. I didn't even play through the first chapter. I just, I paid my $40. I played my $40 and I've deleted it. I'm done with it. I'm going to keep the save file just in case. But yeah, pretty much everything else is completely crapped out. Battle Operation 2 saves the data on the cloud on their servers. So there's no way for me to delete my profile for that because there's no footprint of it on my drive. So there's no problem with that. So basically freeing up some space because I do know that Elder Scrolls will be dumping some updates. They just did one this morning, which required me to dump a couple other apps. And honestly, I play that game quite a bit, just like I play this one quite a bit. Anyway, so that's kind of what I want to talk about. Some simple math here. There's a concept that I've had in my head since I was in high school when I first delved into economics. When I was growing up in high school, they had a home economics class, which was all about just basically simple life skills that kids typically wouldn't learn if they were latchkey kids, and we were all latchkey kids in this era. I'm talking about the 80s is when I went through high school, and kind of started earlier, but what it is what it is. Basically, the crafting classes like shop, they were more about teaching you about how to trust in your abilities, grow your abilities, look for creative solutions, basically be real thinkers. And all the courses I was taking in high school were all college prep, so it was kind of a higher level of, academic or mental activity going on there to begin with. I came up with an axiom: if 1 plus 1 is greater than 3, buy it. It's basically what my motto is, and that goes back to a philosophy or an idea that the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. And this was a concept that was put forth in my academia on pretty much every course I took. That was the core of it. You're looking for value in your collected effort is what it comes down to. If the value of your effort is greater than the sum of its core parts, keep doing this. Buy it. Buy into it. Work that. And it's kind of like the same thing as I've been talking about for the last couple of years in Destiny, when I was evaluating what it is I want out of the game versus what I could obtain out of the game. There's a lot of very attainable things in all games. Games are not meant to be unattainable. Objectives in games are not meant to be unattainable. They're not like hopes and dreams and aspirations where you're never really supposed to obtain them. You just put them there like a beacon, like a lighthouse beacon that's supposed to guide you over the rough parts of your life. That's why when the song says dream the impossible dream, you want to dream an impossible dream because that sets a standard of your excellence, a pursuit or a course. You're never really supposed to reach that. It's a guiding point. It's like the North Star, okay, of your navigation through the world, through your existence on this planet, or wherever it is you feel you are at the time. I mean, who knows? I mean, there could be extraterrestrials watching this sometime in the future, or maybe in the past. I don't know how time works outside of our known universe. It's difficult to conceptualize. But I do know that I feel, well, no, I don't feel. I do know that physics is not consistent. We have constants, but they're always shifting, and they are acted upon by other forces. So what we call as a constant of gravity here is not always going to be constant because it does change. It will shift. But again, I'm falling off the path here. So when I talk about efforts into versus rewards out of, it's called a gameplay loop in terms of game design, where the player's efforts reward them, and then they go back and repeat that effort to hopefully making the game some money in some way if it's one of those games that does operate on money. Mobile Suit Battle Operation operates on money. They run a token shop, basically, is what it is. You buy tokens at different grades of income or output, and or expense, excuse me. And, of course, obviously, the higher dollar amounts are worth more. But that kind of complexity can also be exploited to mislead you. Say, for instance, you go and you're buying item 1, and it's going to be $10. But if you buy 3 of them, they only become $7 each. Now, you only need item number 1. You might not even enjoy item number 1, so why would you want items 2 and 3? But you're like, hey, but if I really like item 1, then I've got 2 and 3. What just happened right there is that the company selling you items 1, 2, and 3 just made $11 off of you, whether you are going to buy or not. They got $11 out of you right then and there, and that's all it's going for. So these token shops, these microtransactions and things, which has been a big ball of shit for many, many years now in gaming in general, that's really kind of what it comes down to. Is the value of what you're putting in worth more than the sum of its parts? And if it isn't, then stop doing this. And that's exactly what I've decided today, is that Mobile Suit Operation 2, Battle Operation 2, is a free-to-play game. And while I can very diligently grind every day for 3 matches to get my 3 maximum tokens that I can earn a day, and I could get good and take on the battle simulator and earn that token that's there, those tokens that are there, which I think is on a rotation of like 2 weeks or a month or something like that. I haven't really tracked it because I just only barely got into it, which is a point of frustration for me because I just started getting into picking apart the meta in the game, trying to figure out, okay, how can I get better? I'm having fun with the power fantasy of piloting a mobile suit, but now I want to start winning matches. Now I want to start, escalating my abilities and focusing on what works for me and avoiding what doesn't work for me. And of course, the moment I start thinking like that, and I was all gung ho about getting back into the game today. Last night I logged in and it was a problem. This morning I've logged in and it was a problem. And every 3 or 4 hours I would log in and it would still be a problem. So there's nothing on the website that says the servers are down or that they're overcrowded. And like I said, the help that I found for the error reports are, is so fatigued. It's aged out horribly. It's like years old now. So I can't be confident in those solutions. So the value of my 4 to 5 attempts, is way less. The return is way less than what I was expecting. Then you take a game like Conan Exiles, okay? I play on official PvP servers, not because I want to go and bust chops and stuff, but because it's a lot more fun, and it's not that, you have a risk of, being raided or anything like that. That doesn't, it's not the risk of danger. It's not the stakes so much as that there are stakes, that there is a risk here. But more importantly, that just because a thing can happen doesn't mean it has to happen. And that's a value in itself as well. And because like right now, presently on this server, there are several large groups of players. Some of them are multi-clan based. And I'm pretty sure that, once the season starts to go on, the likelihood of me signing into the desert is pretty high, but it's not that hard to rebuild in this game. As long as you don't reset your character, you can recover just about any time, anywhere, unless you've got a griefer clan that is just going to hound your ass. And then, take a break and go play offline. It doesn't matter. And that's the point, is that the game is also just as enjoyable as a single-player offline experience. The value of 1 + 1 in this game is greater than 3. It is like a 5 to me, a 5 or 6. Minecraft used to feel like that too, but for some reason, being in first person and then being in third person, there's something about the graphics or the frame rates, or I don't know what it is, but it's making me nauseous. It's weird. It used to do that to me a few years back when I used to play split screen with my youngest, and I would be like, hey, you got to play for a while. Daddy needs to lay down for half an hour because I'm gonna throw up. I'm so nauseous. Um, and I think it has something to do with motion sickness and vertigo. It's why I don't do things like virtual roller coasters or anything like that, like the Star Tours or the Back to the Future ride. I did the Back to the Future ride and I nearly tossed my lunch. I did throw up off of Star Tours and I did throw up off of Space Mountain. So yeah, that disorientating, whip panning kind of shit does not do good for me, and I'm not alone apparently. But okay, so yeah, so what is the value of? Does 1+1 equal greater than 3 for roller coasters with me? Not really, not really. So just avoid it. And that's kind of basically the gist of this whole issue here. Is just figure out if what you're doing is a value to you, and is it something you're doing because you feel like you need to, because there are other people doing it and you want to be part of that community, or are you doing this because it is satisfying to you and then you just naturally will coalesce with other like-minded individuals? And that's kind of the way I play Conan Exiles and most other games right now, is that I do what I know I'm there for. I paid the money for this game. I paid the time for this game. I want to enjoy this game my way. And eventually, I will gravitate or I will accrue individuals who follow a similar behavior, and that's how communities are formed. So in the context of an MMO or multiplayer, not really a massive multiplayer online game, this is like the most you can have on the server is 40 people. I don't consider that to be massive, but on a multiplayer online game, that's something that's going to happen organically. And it's fun to watch and it's fun to enjoy. And I think that a PvP server provides that more than a PvE or PvE conflict server would be. In Conan Exiles, in Destiny, it's the same thing. If I engage in the seasonal arena, the battlegrounds as they call them now, eventually I'm going to start connecting with people who are frequenting that as well, and we will form a community that is focused on seasonal content. Whereas my son, he likes to focus on aspirational content, as Bungie calls it. So he's doing things like raids and Grandmasters. He has a collection of players with him. They have a community of those. They're not sweat lords, but they are deeply invested in the game to that point. Um, and I'll drop out eventually, and when the new season starts, when the new expansion starts, because I'll get bored with it, and then I won't do it, and things will happen. And I'll gravitate into people who play mostly Crucible, or people who play mostly Gambit, or people who play mostly Vanguards. It's just the way communities are formed, and that's where you get the 1+1 is greater than 3, or 1+1 is equal to 3 or greater, I should say. Um, because myself plus the other person, do we create a value in our experience that is greater than just each of our experiences on their own. And that's kind of really all I wanted to sound off about. Hopefully that made some sense. If not, let me know. If yes, let me know. I don't know, talk about it with somebody else. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. You guys have some fun.